Welcome to another edition of Living with Purpose. I have Chloë Swain, who is a founder of FutureTwin, where she is building a future where education, career, and life choices are navigated with precision of AI. So she is very much in the technology space, but helping young people really use technology to determine their life choices. So please join me in welcoming Chloë, and she's going to talk to us about her work.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Talk a little bit about, your growing up, the family in which you grew up, some of the key influences that you've had, and then we'll slowly move into what you're doing today.
Great. Perfect. Yeah. So, I grew up in North Van. I went to a kind of small French school. And as I was growing up, my dad was kind of in the entrepreneurial area, and he's always been kind of in that area. So I was always surrounded by that from a young age. As he was kind of exploring his company, I would go to the lab with him, with my sister and I when we were 6. So I always kind of had an appreciation for kind of starting your own companies and working in that. So kind of through my high school experience, I kind of decided, okay, law is going to be the path I'm going to go down, and that's the path that's going to be for me. But kind of through high school, we started having to work on school projects. And a lot of students were doing, okay, we're going to do bake sales. We're going to raise money for, little different funds. And I realized that I want to do something more than that. So kind of visiting Longhouse and surrounded by a lot of First Nations communities in North Van, we would go and we'd visit these different communities and have kind of weekends away. And I had a great appreciation for how the seniors and the elders were such a pillar to the community, and they're so respected, and their knowledge and experience is so appreciated because they've lived an entire life. So of course, their path to getting where they are at now is so valuable and essential. So I think, being surrounded by that, I've had a big appreciation for that. And I noticed that in our community, I just be honest, a lot of kids would only talk about their grandparents when it came to birthday checks and Christmas checks coming in the mail. And there wasn't you didn't know what your grandparents had done. You didn't really know what your parents were doing as a career. And we had a lack of appreciation and knowledge for the incredible paths and journeys that our family members had been through. So I was very inspired by that. And I was like, okay, I want to do a project kind of geared and looking towards that area. So working towards that, I kind of told my dad my idea, and he's like, okay, you can't come to me with a problem. You have to come to me with a solution. So I went and I contacted 50 companies in Vancouver, and one got back to me. So I kind of took a day out of school and I went and presented to them, and the CTO agreed to come on and work with me. So I've been working with him for 4 years now through my different projects. That was a very valuable experience for me. And that kind of led me towards then when the pandemic hit and that app and that path was no longer an option for us. Was looking towards then education career paths. So it's kind of a decision everyone has to go down. And in my school specifically, I think the guidance counselor to student ratio in BC is 1 to every 360 students. But in some other places in the US, let's say, I think it's 1 to every 800 students. So that guidance and that help for these students is it's dated. The tools are extremely dated. And the students didn't have that help. So noticing this problem, that's kind of what led me to start that and make a tool that not only I could use, but every student could use to help find the perfect education career path for me. I think the reason why I understand you kind of said okay, how did you grow up and that side of it? But I haven't had too much experience in this area. I'm 18, so I think I'm a bit new to figuring out my path, and I haven't kind of gone through many education or career paths so far. But I think the app and that entire process was very valuable to me, and will continue to be valuable. I learn new things every day, and I really appreciate being able to make a tool that I was able to put my grad class and my friends through it, and over 65% of them ended up changing their education career paths. And I think that finding the path that suits you it's fundamental. And I think that at the moment, kind of in the time that we're in, we kind of look at academic smarts, we look at street smarts, but we stop talking about like life smarts, right? Everyone has to have a certain amount of knowledge. And I think let's say my mother's a kindergarten teacher. So it's kind of surrounded by that education side as well. And she was just telling us how even this year, the number of students who can no longer go to the bathroom on their own and walk upstairs on their own and count to 3 on their own is it gets worse every year, right? And I think that's really striking and it's really unfortunate. And I think the way that AI is changing so quickly as well, I think we're in a time where everyone needs a sense of purpose and needs that guidance and needs help finding what paths are right for them. And I think so many students and people are getting just pushed into random education paths that they no longer think will suit them. And we're not talking about purpose. We're kind of just pushing people in basic education paths and hoping they'll be able to come out with a career at the end of that. But I think there has to be a lot more focus towards finding a career path that suits you and then moving your way back to find that education path that can help you with that.
Just for our listeners, since you said some of these things very quickly, you have grown up in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Yes.
And North Vancouver is really the community in which you went to school and studied and your parents live there. So your experience, just so that our listeners can be geography in their mind, that you are somebody that is living in Canada, is a young person that is doing innovative stuff and really looking at integrating AI and AI tools into career decision-making processes.
Yes. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the importance of why you believe that young kids need to discover their purpose as part of their career journey.
I truly believe that everyone can have a sense of purpose. I think a lot of people go, okay, if you're wealthy or if you're this, obviously it's easier for you to follow and find your sense of purpose because you have that liberty. And I think that finding your purpose, it's essential, but at the same time, of course, not everyone has the opportunity to select whatever path of purpose they would truly love to follow. But I think it's essential when we start looking at all the possible career paths out there. I think many of us will navigate towards these same 100 careers. And either both your parents are lawyers, so the odds of you becoming a lawyer are very high, or these are just the ones that are these careers you're surrounded by and the careers you heard about growing up, and they're the ones you end up navigating towards. So what we're able to do through the app is seeing thousands of careers, every career that you could think imaginable, and finding ways that these careers, what careers might work perfectly for you and for who you are as a person. So we don't only look at academically, but your soft skills, your hard skills, what motivates you to do what you're going to do, and what makes you who you are, essentially. And I think that purpose is really, obviously there can be things that you'd love to do in your life. You might want to see the world. You might want to become an artist, right? And I think that being able to identify these areas and these specific, how to frame this correct way, all the things you want to do in your life and the things you want to achieve, I think a lot of these can be pulled and can navigate you towards a career path that can entail these. I think purpose, speaking with more and more people now, I think everyone has a different definition of purpose. And I think that, I don't know if it's always purpose, let's say, it can be having a sense of belonging. But I think that finding your education and career path is directly linked with that, and finding what makes you tick, what makes you want to wake up every morning. I think that is deeply rooted in finding an education and career path.
So, I mean, it's fantastic, right? I mean, I've just had another conversation with somebody who was a little older than you, but also started an effort at the age of 18, where he now runs a project called the Millennium Campus Network, where he actually brings students from all over the world together to think about careers in the social impact space. And he's been doing this for 18 years. And one of the things that he basically highlighted is that purpose is your lighthouse in a storm.
Yes.
Right? And purpose is not something that is static. Purpose continues to change. And one of the things that I talk about with our listeners and with our audience and your young audience is really to focus on your strengths and your values.
Yeah.
If you can focus on your strengths and your values, and if that can allow you to identify your sense of why, then you get a sense of belonging. then you're actually showing up with authenticity. And everything that you do should not necessarily be just related to your work,
Yes.
right?
Yes. I think that we all have skills and it's constantly adapting. And I think that a lot of people now are pivoting careers, and some of that is because AI, but I think some of that is also because in the first place they weren't able to find what makes them do what they want to do. So I think that careers can play a part in that, but I definitely agree with you that it is constantly changing. It's dynamic, and I think that being able to identify it and work towards it's a great goal.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about yourself, right?
Yes, who I am.
So you've just talked about where you're going, where you want to go. Talk a little bit about what is driving you. Like, what's your why?
Yeah. So I think obviously I was saying that I wanted to go into law, and that's kind of my path to there. But I think that a big thing for me starting my first kind of app and everything like that was everyone. How to say this in the correct way? I think that everyone has the right to an education and a path that they want to go down, and I think that looking at that and growing up and seeing, obviously not as much in my community, but seeing how many people don't have the right to that, I think that's a big thing that kind of makes me tick and makes me want to wake up every morning and give others the opportunity to have that.
But also, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm working towards this, and I'd love to try to build this as far as I can. And I think a lot of people go, okay, so when are you going to university? And I don't know if that's necessarily in the path for me at the moment. I think I'm kind of full steam ahead on this, and I'm loving it, and I'm learning so much from it. I don't know. I think that maybe I don't know my path yet. Maybe I haven't found my whole sense of purpose, and I'm still building towards it.
We will always continue to refine our purpose, right?
Yeah.
If you've got something that you've got yourself engaged into, which is going to last you a few years.
Yeah.
And I really hope that this is what you build out is going to be so fantastic for people to use. So give a little sense of, just as young listeners, what it took you to get to where you are, right? I mean, you just said you wrote letters to 50 companies and one responded.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did that make you feel, right? So you got rejected 49 times. A lot of people would say, oh my God, I give up.
Yeah.
What gets you to wake up and say, no, I'm going to keep going? And I'm going to get that 1 year. So what is the motivation that people should really learn from your journey?
Yeah. So I think that a big thing for me was I don't know. I mean, I didn't want to quit. I wanted to keep trying to find it. And I knew that this was something I was very passionate about. And I was like, okay, I was in high school at the same time. So I was like, I'm going to keep working towards it and kind of sending out my emails every day. And I think that the one for me to keep pushing for it was that I truly noticed that it was a lack in my community. But I think that for anyone else listening who's around my age or anyone kind of wanting to start their own company and go down that path, I think that the big thing I've learned from others around me is that the people who succeed are the ones who don't stop and the ones who kind of live it, right? When you have a company, it's like your baby. And I think that working towards it and working as hard as you can on it, if you're passionate about it, I think finding something that you're passionate about when it comes to a company, I think people have great ideas every day, but if you're not truly passionate about it and it's not something that you really want to work towards and you see the need for, then I think it becomes harder for you to work so hard on it and put all your time towards it. I think that I was fortunate as well that when a company finally reached back to me and it came to writing that first check, I took all the money I had in my account and I put it towards it, and it was $2,600, right? It was kind of all my savings from my up to age 14, and my dad matched it for me, which I was very grateful for. And I understand that not everyone has that opportunity and that environment that they're surrounded by. So I think that was a great help as well. But I think that a big thing is if you have a mission, you have an idea, is that everyone you talk to, making them feel as inspired that you are by your idea and your vision. I think if you're able to explain that in a way where you can get others to feel that same pain. So I think a big part for me has been talking to parents because they see that need, right? They they're worried for their kids, and the kids aren't always worried about this problem. They're like, okay, I'll figure it out. I'll get to the path I'm supposed to get to. But parents are very worried, and they're wanting to help their kid, but they don't know the best way to do that. I think that's essential. And I think a big part for me as well has been trying to honestly reach up to schools. Like, I've been getting stuck with the ministry, and the ministry saying, no, we have a tool, and they're not, let's say, getting back to me, and they're saying, oh no, yeah, it's fine. The tool we have is good enough. Which is unfortunate, because I've had to move into looking at towards private schools first and then public schools. So I think it's unfortunate. And I think that being young, I kind of have that ability to kind of go publicly and talk to other people and show that I've been through this problem, right? I used these tools in my school, and they didn't work, and they didn't work for anyone around me. So I think that, you're young, I think being young gives you the ability to kind of, in a way, talk about what you want to talk about and kind of bring a bit more passion towards something without people getting mad at you in a way. I think that you can speak up about issues, and you don't get as much backfire for it being young. So I think that's a great thing. And I think that if you're young and you're wanting to you're going down that entrepreneurial area where you have a passion, I think that speaking up about it, being young, I think that you have more of an ability to do that sometimes because you're young.
This is fantastic, right? So one of the things you're saying is that keep a lens of abundance.
Yes.
That if you keep a lens of abundance, things will happen. You don't have to start with big things. You can start somewhere and start. Yeah. And what you're actually just saying is start, and things will keep changing minds. You will keep opening doors.
Yeah.
But you have to be persistent, and you don't have to take no for an answer, and you will struggle.
Yes.
But, there's one thing, I also want to just share with our listeners is, yes, you've got to have a passion to do things, but you also need to focus on being compassionate. And what I mean is that you're just not doing this for yourself.
No.
And just to promote yourself. You're actually doing it to extend the common good and bring benefits to others. And if you can combine those two, that's really when you start getting this unstoppable energy that comes in, which purpose actually brings. So this is fantastic. So what's next for you?
I think working as hard as I can on this and trying to get my message around. So it's been kind of, trying to get in with those ministries and trying to talk with them and sending them email after email and trying to kind of find my way and work my way in to try to integrate this into every school and have every student be able to use it and kind of find their path. As I said, over 65% of the students who've used it have ended up changing their education or career path. So I think that if everyone has the ability to use it, it'd be incredible. So that's kind of why we're running under a freemium model to kind of give everyone that opportunity to use the app. And then in the future, we have some kind of added verticals to get a bit more into depth. Giving everyone the opportunity to find their path is, I think, one of the most valuable decisions you're going to have to make in your life. And I think that so many students enter an education path, and by the time they get out, either they can't find a career path that works from there, or AI is taking it over. And we're in such a quickly changing time in the world where making these decisions the first time and trying to figure out the right path for you is so essential. And I think that if we can we don't know where we're going, but I think if we can keep pushing people to to start that path, I think that's essential. And I think setting goals and journaling to help achieve those paths is essential as well. So we kind of include all that through the app. And I think once I'm done this, and if I'm able to kind of get it into schools, I'd love to try to start other projects like this and help any others going down the same path that I'm going down. I think that being young and wanting to start a project, I think it's a great thing to be doing.
This is awesome. Thank you so very much. So Jill, let me see if we can close by getting you to share your one golden nugget, a piece of wisdom that you're living by, that you want to share.
I think one golden nugget for me would be you always kind of show up to events. And I think that at the beginning for me, I was like, okay, the random events, I might meet someone there, but I might not, and it's a waste of time. But I think that showing up and meeting and talking, I think a lot of places you go, you see kind of someone in the corner and you go, why would I talk to them? But I think that growing up, best way to say this, but it's always, you kind of go always talk to everyone you meet. And I think that you learn incredible lessons from everyone that you can meet. And I think going to events for me has been like little social nights and little events here and there. I think that you can meet so many incredible people. And it's not always going, okay, this person could help me reach this person. But I think it opens your perspective to so many ideas. And when you start to understand different paths and visions, it can also help you think of ways that you can integrate different thoughts and trends into what you're doing. I think that one big thing for me is to talk to everyone you can possibly talk to ever, because you can learn so much from the people you're surrounded by, even when you think that like, oh, no, I won't learn anything from them, or why would I talk to them? I think that it's so essential to kind of learn everyone's path and talk to everyone you can talk to. And I think persevering is an incredible thing. I think that at the beginning, like being in high school and kind of starting my path off, it was a bit slow because I was in school at the same time. But I think this year, being able to work on it full time, I think that, I mean, the number of companies who fail is large. And I think that at the end of the day, you want to do everything you can do to make sure that your idea is the one that'll get through. I think perseverance is an incredible thing that I think we all have to learn to work harder on.
You know, I love this nugget of yours, right? Which is talk to that person that is standing in the corner of the room.
Yeah.
Because you never know what you may get. Talk to the person that everybody wants to talk to.
Yeah.
But how do you get the courage to go talk to the person that nobody wants to talk to?
Yeah.
And you may actually discover something that is awesome.
I think some of the most incredible people I've met have been like the ones kind of staring at a window in a corner at an event. And I've gone over and I've talked to them and I've stayed connected with these people and I see them through different events and they've become like incredible friends and people with so much knowledge and experience that I've been able to learn from. And I think we have to stop kind of looking over people because we think that their path is not valuable to us. I think you get to a certain point in life where you go, okay, like, how is this person really helping me? Is this person valuable to me? But I think that, I think that being connected and social connections is kind of what it's all about. And I think that, it's essential. And I think that with the way that AI is moving at the moment, I think that social connections are kind of being pushed away and we're having a lack of that in our community and everywhere. I think that a big reason that these younger students are starting to become more disconnected and a lack of an ability to do kind of things on their own, as I was saying, like going to the washroom on their own. But then when it comes to social connections later on, I think that a lot of that is because the lack of social connections. So, yeah.
Thank you so very much for this wonderful conversation. Again, talk to the person that's standing in the corner of the room. You never know what you would get. So awesome. Chloë, thank you very much for being part of this podcast. Again, to my listeners, thank you. Remember, purpose is that renewable source of energy that continues to drive humanity forward. Chloë, thank you very much for being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.